and welcome to Getting Your Money's Worth, the show that focuses on value. I'm Judith West, and our guest today is Curtis Hill, author of Poor No More. Wealth is within reach. Well, that sounds good so far.
There we go.
Perfect
for today's world.
It certainly is. Okay, so Curtis, we're going to go right to it. Poor No More. Boy, that's good news, music to a lot of people's ears. There is this popular health craze idea that, you detox your body, get rid of bad things that are in your body, get rid of toxins. You have a twist on that idea because you talk about detoxing your financial mindset and get rid of poor ideas.
Absolutely.
Tell me what you mean.
We are all suffering from a lack of financial education. And most of our financial education we actually get from Madison Avenue advertising executives trying to train us to spend money on their products. And this is not financial education that's in our best interest. But that's mainly what we live off of, and we get hours of that every day. So people go around spending and wasting a lot of money on things they never use because they have false beliefs that they want or need something that they don't really need. And this book talks about strategies to how to prevent that.
Okay. So how to prevent that? Well, so you have let's just get into these strategies. Let's go right to it. You have a different twist on savings too. Most folks, when they start to work, they soon find out, or they're told that they should start saving for their retirement and putting it away in 401ks and IRAs and all that stuff, so that when they get to be 60 or 65, and you even ask why 65, that's a good question, they can suddenly retire and start to enjoy themselves. But you have a different twist on that.
Well, I really believe that retirement and saving for retirement is an obsolete concept. Instead, what we should do is try to make ourselves financially independent and learn to live off our investments whenever that may come in life, hopefully much sooner than traditional retirement age.
Well, let's talk about that. Most young people, and listen, a lot of people are in a bad way with their investments right now too, so that's another piece of it. But most young people, or people in their early 30s, aren't saving. Savings has not traditionally been strong in the past couple of decades. So you have an idea that you start, in year one, you start savings, 10 or 20% of your paycheck?
Well, I believe that if you go through the other topics of the book that talk about how to find that money that's being wasted, I think probably 30% of our money on our typical is being wasted, that we can find ways to save at least 20% a year and then start transitioning that very quickly to start spending money out of that so that you become more used to living off your investments and your paycheck really just becomes a vehicle to fund your investments. You learn to live off that.
So instead of living from paycheck to paycheck, you're going to start getting away from that crutch.
Exactly.
And start investing. Okay, find things that you can do without. I live in New York City. It's fun. I'm a subway rider. I'm a big mass transport. I mean, I think the best deal going in New York City is to get any place you want for $2. Now it's $2.25. I'm amazed at the number of people I talk to that are always cabbing from here to there. That's one way you could learn to save, is mass transportation.
Mass transportation.
Right.
In fact, in most of the country, automobiles is where most people really blow their budget. My concept is to spend more money on appreciating assets, not depreciating assets, and cars are one of the fastest depreciating assets.
I mean, for you, going into debt to buy a car is a big no-no.
The minute you being in debt on a depreciating asset is a big no-no.
The minute you drive out of the car, now we don't want to pan the economy. Right now, we're trying to make things come back. But one of the things that most folks think led to this economic debacle that we're today is all of this overspending and too much debt.
Absolutely. Debt is a huge part of it. And somehow Madison Avenue has not only convinced us we should buy products we don't need, but then convinced us we should borrow money to do it. And you hear the car dealer talk about, it's not how much the car costs, it's your monthly payments, as though that's your cost of your car.
Right.
And it's just totally
and
wrong.
People really don't know the long-term effect.
Right.
Okay, so one of the things, Matt, lunches, it's true, I used to, when I was teaching, before I started doing lots of other things, I always had the habit of bringing my lunch to work. I was amazed at the number of people who really made much less than I did, who went out and spent $8, $10 every day for lunch.
Well, those are all small things.
But
my book is not really talking about.
Those small things
they
add
do
up.
add up.
So what are some of the big things?
Well, some of the bigger things is the way we waste money on energy. And there's so many ways to.
Well, what can the average person do about his energy costs?
Well, for instance, just changing the type of light bulb you use can be a fairly substantial portion of it. Using more efficient appliances. In a home, if you have a water heater with the tank, go to a tankless water heater. But there's a lot of things that have very, very, very quick payback. And again, I'm not talking about sacrificing your lifestyle. I'm actually talking about saving monies in ways that improve your lifestyle.
Yeah. But I want to get to this concept that you talk about in your straight through, which I think is this business of thinking like a person who has money and not thinking not thinking as though you were poor. There is a different mindset between rich people and poor people.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
There's a lot of books out there, and I'm just one of them who talks about that.
I know.
And it's really dramatic because people with more money and more money family tends to train their children on how to think about money versus a more typical family, they may use the television that trains their family how to think about money, which is so wrong.
So if you want, and one of the things you said was financial education too. Really, in the schools, kids don't learn any financial literacy.
Very, very little.
They don't learn how to keep a checkbook. They don't learn how to budget. In fact, if anything, what they learn is how to use a credit card.
Right.
Not maybe they don't learn how to use it. They wind up using it. Mm-hmm. So this is all part of a pattern.
Correct, and we've seen that pattern collapse throughout our economy in the last 2 years. It's all rooted in spending too much and borrowing too much.
I want to go while we still have some time because I like this concept that you wrote about in or talked about, the freedom account.
Right.
So let's talk about what is you mean freedom? You mean freedom to not to have financial worries?
Exactly, and that sort of replaces a retirement account, and it's much more effective.
Well, let's talk about it. So how do you start a freedom account?
Well, it's a concept. You can't go to the bank and open a freedom account. If you read the book, you find out about it.
But for now, we're talking about it. So how do you start?
The purpose is start by putting money in, 20, 25% the first year.
Whatever you can put in, just get going.
Right, and each year you increase the amount you put in. But each year you're also taking some out, the amount equal to the amount you're
so let's go slow.
It.
So let's go slow. If I am able to put in 10% of my paycheck on a monthly basis, something like that. Okay, that's in year one, I do that. I make that sacrifice when I'm in my 20s and my early 30s, and I start to say, I'll cut back on some of these other things we talked about, and I'm going to save, which, by the way, feels good. It's a feel-good. So year two, what do I take out?
Well, my examples I use, you put 20% in the first year, you put 25% in the second year, but in that second year, you're also taking out 5%.
Okay, so you're not really putting in any more. You're taking out 5%.
Right, but you're taking it out after you already earned some interest and yields on that, so it costs you a little less to take that out. So at the end of 16 years, you're putting 100% of your paycheck in. Okay, and you're taking 80% of that out that you're living on.
So every year you're putting in a little bit more, but you're taking out a little bit more. Now I want to ask you.
You're training yourself to live off your investments. That's why you're doing that.
The whole concept is to train yourself. In fact, I think we talk it, letting your money work for you.
That's right.
Okay.
And it changes your attitude about money.
Yeah. Is that still? Can we still do that in this era of very low interest rates, Curtis?
Yes, we can. There are a lot of things that still pay very good interest rates.
Such as?
Some certain government-backed CMOs pay very good interest rates. A lot of utilities are fairly safe and pay good interest rates. Okay. A lot of pipelines.
So people can shop around.
Yes.
You can shop around and find a place where you can pay and pay. But I think that, honestly, I think that for me, one of the best things I got was this business of thinking about how not to spend money before you so quickly spend money.
Right. I give a lot of things and tests that you should make before you make a purchase. If you hear a jingle for a product occurring in your head as you're thinking about buying it, you should think and pause at least that maybe you're being influenced by an advertising executive who has their hand in your wallet, which is the last thing you want to happen.
Right. Yeah. And I heard a good tip too. Never buy anything on sale that you wouldn't buy at full price.
There's some truth to that.
Right.
The other test is, how will this affect my life if I don't have it?
Ah, that's a good one.
Okay, if I don't have this, it's going to have a negative effect on my life.
That's a good one.
And I have a whole chapter that helps you identify the difference between wants and needs, because advertising executives have blurred that definition a lot.
Yeah, okay, you know, we have some viewers who make their living in advertising, so let's not focus on that. I think it's part of this kind of, you know, culture that we've had in the United States, where if you want it, you buy it.
Right.
Yeah. After all, a need is what? A need is something basic.
Exactly. A need is something that your life will be seriously affected by if you don't have it.
Right. And a want is just something and it's okay to splurge on once in a while.
Absolutely.
Nobody
This is
wants
all
to live on a
about
robot.
finding the money to be able to do that, but doing that in a way that you can become financially independent and be able to splurge all you want. That's the goal. But to get there,
I want to ask you also, you call yourself a certified financial planner.
That's correct.
Right. Okay. And that's frankly one of the. What makes you a certified financial planner, Curtis?
Well, there's a series of coursework that you have to go through. Okay, and then the board of certified financial planners sets you through a test. It's a 2-day test, kind of like a accountant or CPA takes a test.
So it's not just somebody that decides to get financial information.
No. A certified financial planner has gone through a lot of work. Right. Now, I'm also a Series 7. I'm a financial advisor with a brokerage firm, and I, give stock investment advice.
Do you personally follow your own plan?
Absolutely.
Where did you get this idea?
Through life and through watching.
Was there something in your background? Have you seen it?
I think my parents thought this way and trained me this way,
so
but others didn't.
At the kitchen table, you learned to be economical.
Right, absolutely.
Yeah, they say the best desk is the kitchen table.
Growing up, my parents set me on an allowance, a large allowance, but I had to buy my clothing, my food, and everything. I had to budget when I was 11, because if I ran out at the end of the week and I didn't have enough, I was hungry.
I've read that even today, if kids want to get their own credit card and learn how to budget, banks won't give it to them. They make the parents co-sign.
Well, that's true. Yeah.
Right. Okay. So learning how to live economically is something that you can do, even if you haven't learned it when you're young. You can train yourself to do it.
Absolutely.
Okay. And one of the ways you're suggesting that we train ourselves to learn how to be economical is to read some of the strategies in your book, Poor No More. Yeah. Well, hopefully this book is going to make you richer, and the rest of us too who read it.
Well, I really wrote it to help people.
Okay, and the rest of us who read it. Thanks for being on this show.
Thank you, Judith.
I'm Judith West, and you're watching Getting Your Money's Worth. Thanks for watching.